Alright, so the new VC 100% route saves 2 minutes, and it does this thing that people are kind of scared of, which is killing the big Poe with Chus at the start of Adult 1. It's completely understandable. This trick is nothing like a normal OOT trick. It's very visual cue based, and it also includes damage ISG, which we never use ever. So this is a good strat for it. You can crouch stab the wall twice, get you a good distance. You're just gonna shield drop a Chu, and then you have 2 frames to crouch stab so that it explodes on the fence. And then I don't know the frame window for the second stab, but it's pretty lenient. You just crouch stab the Chu so that it explodes, stab again, and then mash C up, or you can time it, I guess. And then if you C up while the damage is interrupting your crouch stab, you will keep ISG. Let's see if I can get it. Like that. And now, the crouch stab setup was for 2 things. It makes the distance good for ISG, and it also makes the distance good for this hover. You want to shield drop the Chu while holding Z so that you keep ISG. And then while the Chu is running up, you want to flick down, hit C up so that you don't target the Chu while you're doing that. So you flick, C up, cancel, and then do your hover. And then you have a little bit of time to do your second hover. So in full it would look like this. That's what happens if you don't C up. There you go. Alright, so the next part is actually setting up and killing the Poe. So this trick is, like I said, very visual cue based. Not like your normal OOT setup where you can just, you know, do a certain number of side hops and you're in the right position. I think first it's easier to explain like the theory of how it even works, and then I will explain how to do it. So there's a Poe here that spawns when you go near that sign. That Poe has a certain percent chance, I don't want to give you a number in case it's wrong, but it has a certain percent chance of being either a small Poe or a big Poe when you're on foot. But when you're on Epona, that Poe is always going to be big. So to make this 100% consistent, our goal is to send Chus to kill the Poe, and then get on Epona with good timing to make the Poe spawn 100% a big Poe. So I have a special version of the practice ROM, thanks to Nerds with Game, that shows the zone for where the Poe actually spawns. And it's this box right here. So if I step into this box, a Poe will trigger, and since I'm on foot, it will be either big or small. And it's big. So the idea with this trick is to place Epona fully into this box, so that when you get on, it is a big Poe. But you want Epona to be not too close to the edge, because while you're getting on, you don't want the Poe to spawn while you're in the middle of the climbing animation. So this trick uses a cool thing about getting on Epona, that if you do some kind of setup, you can get on Epona from really far away. Like, if I get on now, Link is just gonna like teleport over to Epona when she's not doing that. Like that. Link just kind of teleports over to where Epona is. So the idea is that you put Epona far enough in the box, but still close enough to the edge that you can climb from outside of it. And then when you press A to climb, you teleport into the box with good timing for the Chus to explode it. So if that was confusing, don't worry about it. I think knowing why this works will definitely help some people in learning how to do it. But now for visual cues. So the first important part is placing Epona correctly. You need to worry about both Epona's angle and Epona's position. The cues that I use are, I think, a slight modification of Jolin's that he explains in his video. But I basically wanted to use the road in combination with the box that you won't normally be able to see in runs. So I found where the two meet, and the two meet right here on this curve where my B button is on, it kind of curves out, the road curves out. That's where the box intersects the road. It's like right at the point where this curve is sticking out the most. So the idea is to get Epona over here, and then while on Epona, I face so that your head is lined up with the corner of this like brick building or whatever. So you're on Epona, you're near this area, you face that building, and then you put Epona's back legs to be about where that curve is sticking out. A little bit back works, a little bit forward probably won't work. So you want to be more further back than more in front if you can. By the way, if this post spawns while you're trying to do the trick, you need to kill it and then accept the text box to make it go away. I should have mentioned this earlier, but Poes are on a timer. Once you make a Poe soul disappear, it takes about 10 seconds for another Poe to spawn. So that's why you have to kill it if you want to keep trying the trick. So that curve in the road is right here about. You want Epona's back legs to be on it, and you also want to be facing toward the corner of that building. This is perfect. A little bit left and right is fine. But I'm a little far left. That curve of the road is a little bit over there, so I'm going to kind of park Epona in the right spot. That looks okay. And then turning on Epona can be kind of dumb, but that's perfect right there. Once you have Epona in a good position, I'll show what it looks like in the box for reference. Looks about like this. So the idea is that you do this setup so that you're outside of the box and the pose won't spawn. You send the Chus, and then at the right time you climb Epona so you teleport into the box and kill the Poe. So the setup for the Epona teleport is to just backflip, backflip, turn right, side hop, and now we're going to send 2 Chus, send one, side hop back, and climb at the right time. The first important timing is for the Chus. So you're going to pull a Chu, you're going to count 1 red flash, and then half a flash, so when it's halfway to turning red again. After that, you'll shield drop it, you'll side hop, and then during your side hop, pull the Chu as soon as you can. It's not that precise, but don't like stand there, wait, and then pull it out, you know? Like just take it out as soon as possible. And then once you land on the ground, just wait for it to turn fully red, drop it. Like that. And then you would side hop back and climb. So I'll show what that looks like first. So that's good timing on the Chus. So with that, all that's left is to time getting on Epona correctly. I use a visual cue on the ground to time this. So if you see on the ground ahead of you, there are 3 like really big white splotches. I look for the Chus to pass over this one right here. This will vary slightly depending on your angle. But if you look at the left Chu, as I advance, right now it's like entering that white splotch. Right now it's like in the middle. So if I was facing to the left, I would get on Epona now. Right when the Chu is right over that white spot. Anywhere in the middle of it, really. Too early, it won't work. Too late, obviously won't work. Just like anywhere in here is good. And now. And the Poe will turn to the curve to the right and go into the other Chu, and then you're good to go. So now for what happens when things go wrong. First off, if Epona is placed too far into the box, the Poe will spawn before you're even on Epona. So you see, I got a Poe spawn and I'm just standing here, so I'm clearly too far in this box here. Now this one is slightly less obvious, but let's say I have Epona really on the edge of the box. You'll still get a Poe to spawn when this happens, but it will happen during the climbing animation. So the Poe spawns like really late. You want the Poe to spawn right when you press A and teleport. So it would look like this. Where the Poe spawned while I was in the middle of climbing. which when it's like that, you can't really time the Chus correctly. It's just really difficult. Lastly, if you climb too early, you might have the first Chu hit, but then the Po curves and goes really far away from the second Chu and doesn't get hit. That's simply just climbing too early. The second Chu hasn't made enough distance to actually hit the Po, so I'll try to show what that looks like. Okay, so that's super early, where the Chu is where the Po is, and it explodes and doesn't even hit it. Like, the Po needs some time to become hittable, if that's even a word. So you have to wait much longer. So that is climbing late enough that you can get the first hit, but not late enough that both hit. And if you're too late on climbing, the Chus just won't hit at all. Like, the Po will be really far away. I think that one is really obvious to know when you've gone really late. One last tip that I have is for recognizing your visual cue quickly to know where to park Epona. I should have mentioned this earlier, but basically, after I steal Epona, I ride over here, and then I ride parallel to the road here, and then I notice this splotch of white, this dot of dark, splotch of white, and then dark light. So I just noticed the pattern of the dark and light textures along the road, and I know that once I'm coming up on this really big dark patch and this white patch, I want to stop Epona so that her back legs are where they meet right here. And then once you know that, you can zoom in further and see where you are in relation to this curve in the road to know exactly where to place Epona. And then get the angle and park Epona back. So I will finish off the video by, as usual, just doing the trick in full. And this one's really confusing, and the video turned out longer than I wanted it to be. So feel free to ask questions in Discord about this. I understand it's really confusing.
Hey!